Using one scene, I'll explain why you should read Solo Leveling before ever watching it. Before we begin, I want to get some of my biases out of the way so you know where I'm coming from. So I primarily read manga and manhwa. Any anime I do watch usually falls into one of three buckets. One, it's an anime I watch purely for nostalgic purposes. It's one of my guilty pleasures, what can I say? Two, I think it's really good, but a lot of them I first started watching years ago anyway, so they are still inevitably tied to nostalgia in some way, somehow. And number three, if there are any newer anime that I've watched, it's usually because I've already read the source material first. While I'm sure there are some exceptions sprinkled in there, the majority of anime I watch fall into one of those three categories, and Solo Leveling is no exception. Solo Leveling was really special to me because I discovered it around late 2018, early 2019, and there's just something so cool about seeing a series go from being a light novel to a comic and then getting an anime adaptation. I guess the only thing they haven't done yet is turn it into a live action, and it was only recently that I actually caught up with the anime. The main reason being is that every time I tried to watch it, all it made me want to do is go reread the manga, because with any medium with a time constraint like anime, like movies, there will be details left out for the sake of brevity or to focus on bigger plot points, which makes sense. While with comics or books, you can afford to spend more time to focus on more mundane and minute details and set the scene, if you will. There was this one scene I watched in season 2, and in the grand scheme of things, it's probably more on the insignificant side, but I remember watching it and seeing how bland it felt in comparison to when I first read it. And it was nothing about how it was animated, like it served its purpose of moving the story along. And I completely understand that adaptations shouldn't be one-to-one recreations of what they're adapting, but so much of the scene felt like it had the personality just sucked out of it. And I know it made me sad. I want to play the scene in full for you, but have a strong feeling that this video will get blocked faster than I can say, wakey wakey. So instead, I'll just take it section by section, and fingers crossed this video stays up. But in case you want to watch it in full for yourself, it's at the start of episode 4 of season 2, where our main character, Sung Jinwoo, decides to get his rank reevaluated and goes from E class to S class. Okay, enough of me yapping, let's get to the clips. ハンターランク測定をご希望の方はこちらで受付をお願いします。さて、今日はどれだけの人材を確保できるかな。彼は C 級っぽい。あの人は見るからに E 級。あとははい、ベク・ユンホです。第二管理課のヒョン・ギジョルです。どうしました。彼が来ました。何ですって。間違いありません。ソンハンターがランクの最審査を受けに来たんです。それではこちらにどうぞ。はい、今すぐそちらに向かいます。So in both versions, someone alerts the White Tiger Guild's guildmaster that Jinwoo is having a reevaluation, but who does it is different in each. So within the White Tigers, that's such a mouthful. So within the White Tigers Guild, there are two guys who have been scouting Jinwoo for a while now. They first appeared in episode 10 of season 1. Their names aren't really that important to the point I'm trying to make, and I kind of forgot them, so let's call them A and B for simplicity's sake. Now, A is pretty memorable, and I actually like his character a lot, even though I forgot his name. But my point still stands. He has a lot more screen time than B. He also gets scammed by Jinwoo and also almost choked half to death because of him. So he stands out a lot more, as one might imagine. While B is just kind of there in the background, and he's used more as a plot device for A to explain his reasoning and thought process, because without B, he would just sound like a lunatic, always vocalizing his internal monologue like some sort of villain that's about to get their ass handed to them. But because B has made appearances before, I get why in the anime they decided to go with him, because he's familiar and he already knows what Jinwoo looks like, so it makes sense that he could pick him out from a crowd of people. but honestly, I forgot about his existence until this very scene, so him being the one to do it didn't really leave an impact on me. Now, in the manga, they instead have one of the assistant managers at the Hunters Association call up the Tiger's guildmaster. I like this more for a couple of reasons. First, it's made very apparent that he's teaching a newbie, so it sets up plausible reasoning for any exposition that might be given, since he's technically explaining things to a newbie who wouldn't know any better. And he even adds in some snide comments like, another E rank, huh? Better get used to seeing them. Some people just can't come to terms with reality. Just have him pay the fee and lead him to the waiting room. Very much brushing him off, very nonchalant, very much I don't care, I'm just here for a paycheck. And I love him for it. Well, in the anime, he's just a background character. We see him for like 2 seconds talking to Juno about the process like any other character could do. He's just there. He's literally just an NPC, not a thought behind those eyes, unlike in the manga where we get insight into the kind of person he is. We don't get a sense of what he might be like. He's just there. Sorry, I don't know why I'm getting frustrated over like a character that appears for like 2 seconds, but I am. There was so much more. There was just so much more that we got in the manga. Although from a customer service perspective, it's probably not the brightest idea to whisper 2 seconds away from a customer, but it's very realistic in that strangers do judge you and may talk behind your back. Have you ever went into a store and feel like they're judging you? Like say you go to Ulta and Sephora and you feel like you have to have your makeup, baked to perfection because otherwise the sales reps are going to be like, oh, honey, I think you really need this concealer. You're like, are you trying to tell me something without telling me something? Like, it's giving very much backhanded compliment. Like, oh, I'm just trying to help you. Are you saying my foundation isn't blended right? Because that's what you're giving off. And we can gauge from the comments we heard even before Jinwoo enters the building that the manager has more of a pessimistic mindset and possibly has more of a cynical view towards hunters due to dealing with them on a regular basis. The manager sneaks a quick glance at Jinwoo's name, and from that, he's able to call up the Tiger's guildmaster, knowing that's the man he's been keeping tabs on. He's like, hey, sir, yeah, the man you've been talking about, he came in today. Oh, you're coming over? Okay, cool. I'll keep you updated. Like, that's how the call feels. And it really goes to show how much influence these bigger guilds have on society. Like, sure, it's probably not illegal or anything to give him a heads up, but it does give him an advantage, an insight that a smaller guild or individual might not have. They can't just ask the manager, like, hey, can you keep an eye out on this one guy to see if he comes in? They're probably like, no. Especially at a government entity or facility like Korea's Hunter Association, where you expect, some level of confidentiality, where they're not just giving out your information willy-nilly.
そんなに緊張することないですよ。測定といっても簡単なものらしいですから。
俺は何としてもハンターランクを取って稼いで、その金で別れた妻と娘と一緒に。
見てください。D 級以上の判定が出れば、あそこにいるギルドのスカウトマンたちが声をかけてくれます。大丈夫。E 級じゃなければ食べていけますよ。
E 級じゃなければか。
次の方。
はい。
Now, for the second section, the anime stays pretty faithful to the manga. We have 3 guys in a waiting room. One that's cool-headed, another that's a nervous wreck, and finally, Jinwoo. Now, I find this pretty interesting, and I'm surprised they didn't try to tie this all together in the anime. Probably because it's not that important, but if you remember, when B was scouting for people to recruit, he said cool-headed guy looked like a C rank, and then nervous wreck looked like an E rank. Keep that in the back of your mind. And we never do find out their ranks in the anime. While in the manga, we are not told their ranks outright, at least in the beginning, but it is revealed later on. The cool-headed guy calmly explains how much ranking up can change your life, and you can get scouted if you're at least a D rank, and even tries his best to console and calm the nerves of the other guy. Now, the nervous wreck is profusely sweating, the colors have been drained from his face, he keeps biting his nails, he talks about if he can just rank up, he'll pay off all his debt and get to live with his daughter again, and he keeps repeating the same thing. Just give me the C rank, please, just at least C rank. If I just get C rank. So you can infer that he's probably an E or D rank at least. In the anime, Jinwoo is the first to get evaluated, but in the manga, he's supposed to be the last, with the cool-headed guy going first, followed by Nervous Wreck. But when his time comes, he actually asks Jinwoo if he wants to go ahead of him because he wasn't ready yet. I think despite how small those actions were, it really emphasized his nervousness. I'm sure many of us have felt that same anxiety before an interview, an audition, or even giving a PowerPoint presentation, something that could be or feels life-altering and almost wanting to delay the inevitable, telling someone, hey, you can go ahead of me, just to feel that momentary relief. And it really puts into perspective how utterly life-changing or soul-crushing your rank is in this world. And our protagonist was easily someone who used to be in the same shoes as Nervous Wreck, sitting there just waiting on a miracle. We do find out in the end that cool-headed guy becomes an E rank, looking as if the life had just drained out of him, while the Nervous Wreck became a C rank like he wished, feeling as if he's on top of the world. I think it would have been such a nice dichotomy of how much looks can be deceiving, as well as seeing like how much their reactions have flipped. The guy who was, calm became lifeless, while the guy who was looking like a nervous wreck became so cheerful. And if the anime had included their final ranks along with the prediction of their ranks, I think it would have been a nice, juxtaposition, that's a fancy word. I think it would have been really nice to see the duality, the duality of man, if you will. I also think it's why it would have made more sense for the assistant manager to have made the prediction for the cool-headed guy being a C rank and the nervous wreck being an E rank instead of the B guy, because it really ties into the next section where we learn that the manager guy is not great at reading people and spotting talent because he's very easy to judge. So I think it really would have went full circle, considering what we've already seen of his personality.
確認のためお名前を。
ソンジヌです。
再審査ですね。
はい。
それでは測定方法は以前と同じですので、黒い水晶に手をかざしてお待ちください。あれ？エラー？おかしいな。
おい、どうした？
主任、変なんです。何度やっても測定できなくて。
そんなわけないだろう。どれ？
ほら、こんな感じで。主任？
これは機械の不具合じゃない。測定不能を示してるんだ。
え？どういう？
彼の魔力量がこの機器の測定上限を超えているということだ。
え？それじゃあ。
そうだ。この人はこの国で10人目の S 級だ。
So this is where we find out that Jinwoo is in fact an S rank because the boulder can't measure his power level or whatever. Pretty straightforward. We get some sass from the examiner in the manga because she's like, man, every single time someone comes to get reevaluated, it's always those damn E ranks. Not exactly word for word, but that's the vibe it's giving off. Now, mind you, before Jinwoo was even there had already been 2 other E ranks before him that ranks hadn't changed. And she was super polite and cordial and everything, but it was funny to hear what was going on in her mind, especially because I imagine it gets tiring seeing people come in and day out just to get disappointed one after the other. I'm pretty sure in her mind she's like, don't even try. Like, it's giving off very much, I've played these games before, and let me tell you, it's not gonna work out for you. As you saw in the anime, she figures out that the boulder is malfunctioning, and the manager walks in. And we don't really get any insight as to why he walked in, he just kind of did, and, it could be for a number of reasons. But in the manga, he walks in because, like a lot of us, he's nosy. He's nosy. He's curious as to why a large guild such as White Tiger has Jinwoo on their radar, so he just peeks in. I probably would too. He's like, what's going on with this guy? And this is his reaction to seeing the error message. Just so much personality. And the manager even makes a comment like, damn, This is why I can't get a promotion, because he couldn't recognize an S-Class even when it was staring him straight in the face. He would be the type of person to think the E-Class was a C-Class and the C-Class was an E-Class, because he's going based off his judgments. And they just happen to be wrong most of the time. See, he couldn't see greatness when it was right in front of him. And you might be like, oh, anyone in his position would have thought the same. But then again, Guy A was able to sniff out that Jinwoo had something great in him even before others recognized his talent. Like, he caught on early. He was like, no, my senses are tingling. They're saying there's something here. And I think even Guy B was like, sir, what are you talking about? But he was like, no, I'm on to something. I'm on to something. And he was right. My spidey senses are tingling. There's something here. But that is the end of the scene. I hope I did it some justice with my explanation, but do you see how much added personality and charm was incorporated in the manga compared to the anime? And I want to reiterate, I enjoyed the anime. I really did. I still am. But it made me sad to think of all the minute details people or someone would miss if they've only watched the anime. So that was kind of my whole point of making this video. And I haven't even finished like episode 4 or 5 because I was so locked in on this one scene. I was like, I have to make this video because it's just gonna keep like just stirring in my mind if I don't let it out some way. In other words, go read the manga, at least for my sake, if not your own. But thank you so much for watching. You can watch my last video. It's totally different from this one, but it's still anime manga related. I appreciate you stopping by, out of, taking time out of your busy schedule to hear me ramble about a scene probably nobody cares about that much. But yeah, okay, I'll catch you guys later. Bye. Bye-bye.